We know that hypnosis can open us up to many things, but angels? Oh, yeah, totally. Listen in on this episode of Real Life Angel Encounters. Angels, we all have them. They're our unseen guides, our companions, our teachers, and they're all around us. Sometimes they make themselves known in the most miraculous ways. Join me, Level 3 QHHT practitioner, angel communicator, and Reiki master, Christi Hoffman, with stories from real people who have experienced uplifting phenomena and real-life angel encounters. Hello and welcome back to Real Life Angel Encounters. This is the podcast for people just like you who like their paranormal with a huge dose of positivity and their spirituality with actual spirits. I'm your host, Christi Hoffman. I am located here in the beautiful Kansas City area of the United States. I am a Reiki master, a coach, an author, podcast host, also Level 3 quantum healing hypnosis technique practitioner. That's a mouthful. Today, we're going to be hearing from one of my colleagues who is also a Level 3 QHHT practitioner. But before we get to that, I wanted to issue my standard requests, as I do every episode. You guys are fantastic and really do follow through. So first of all, wherever you're listening now, there's a way to share this episode. There's a way to share this entire podcast, whether it's YouTube, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Pandora, wherever you're listening. Please share not only this episode, but also the show in general, because you know people who enjoy positive content, who believe in angels. 8 out of 10 Americans believe in angels. So please share this content with them. Another thing is, wherever you're listening now, there is a way to subscribe or follow so that you don't miss an episode. The next time an episode is put out, you will receive a notification. So smash that notification bell, that subscribe button, that follow button, wherever you are. You know, it's really simple little thing, but it actually does boost us in the algorithms because it generates a buzz, a movement. It generates a movement around the energy surrounding this podcast. And that is something that attracts more listeners. And when we have more listeners, then that means we have more people to draw stories from. So you get extra content. So see how that works? Another thing is, if you wouldn't mind, if you could just make a little donation this way to positive content, to angelic and divine stories that happen to everyday people. You know, this podcast is going to be free for you to listen, no matter what. But there are costs associated with it that, quite frankly, come out of my pocket. So if you could just buy me a cup of coffee, send a few bucks my way, that would help a lot for hosting and editing purposes. A little goes a long way, truly does. All right, well, that's about it. Today, you're going to hear from 2 storytellers, and one of them is a QHHT practitioner, just like me, and the other one is a local gal who also practices hypnosis and some pretty cool stuff. So without further ado, let's bring on our first guest. And now on the podcast, we've got Sasha from California, my dear friend and fellow QHHT practitioner. I am so thrilled to be talking to you about this experience.
Same here. I'm very excited. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, you've been on this podcast before to tell about something that happened with one of your QHHT clients many years ago.
Yes.
And, I do not remember the details of the story either. And I don't think you do. We do so many of these sessions, so many. I don't retain a lot of knowledge about clients I see, but we're now talking about something that happened to you.
Yes.
Taking you from basically atheistic beliefs and views into knowing that there's something even more out there. Yeah. What happened?
Oh, yeah. And it's interesting that this story happened 12 years ago, and I filed it away and I didn't talk about it. And when you ask me for the previous podcast about angelic stories, it didn't come up in my memory at all, because this is how deep I was holding it, how personal it was. And when I was starting to write my first book, and I started to analyze, because I have an analytical mind, I started to analyze how my path from completely Soviet Union, atheistic, science only, no angels, no nothing, how from this framework, how my brain was introduced to that life, how the life works.
Because you grew up in what's now Ukraine, but then it was Ukraine, but under Soviet control.
Yes, it
Yeah.
was.
So what was that like being atheistic in that way?
It was actually, I look back right now, it looks funny for me. You see, on the surface, religion doesn't exist. We understand that. It's only primitive people who still live in the villages and they don't have education. This is what their avenue of believing in life. But we, progressive people, we know that science exists and it's explained most of what we see. And if it doesn't explain yet, because science is still working on that, then they will explain that in some day. So there is no need to even go to that miracle place and angels and gods. It's all in the previous level of humanity. We are already up there, you know.
Oh my, okay. Full disclosure, you were also on the Radiate Wellness podcast. That episode's going to be coming out, and I'm not sure when, so I won't even tell the audience when it's coming out. But you're in an episode of the Radiate Wellness podcast, and talked about this an experience you had with a teacher when you were just a kid. What was that?
Yeah, we're in school. I think it was third grade or fourth grade. And it was a lot of propaganda against United States. It was the biggest enemy. No one traveled to United States. No one really knew what happened in United States. We didn't see movies, books, nothing. Very rare occasions. And we were taught about United States, what we need to understand about American people. And American people are a very primitive nation. And the proof to that, like, and I'm right now American talking to you, you know, in English, and I couldn't even believe that this would be my reality in the future. I remember we had a foreign language class. It was English, British. And I didn't learn, like, I got my basic grade. And when my mom asked me, why is your grade so low in English? And I said, Mom, this is a dead language. I never gonna speak that language. We will never leave Ukraine. Like, why do I need to learn this language? Look at me. My kids born here, they speak in English. It's their first language.
Yes.
Like how life can shift and change us, you know. So I was there in the class, and the teachers are primitive people. And the proof to that, most of them still believe in angels. This was a proof for American being not as evolved as Soviet people, you know.
Well, there's a statistic saying that 8 out of 10 Americans do believe in angels.
I am among them, you know that?
Now you are. Yeah, what happened when you told your parents that?
I came to home euphorically happy that I learned something new, and it proves the belief that we have. And I told my parents, oh, this is and I expected from them to be as happy as I am to learn about that, because as little kids, we receive data, we don't ask questions. If we start asking questions, we cannot receive that much data. And we cannot learn about that world that fast and quick. So I didn't ask questions. I just came home and I shared with my parents, this is what I learned at school. And to my surprise, they didn't become euphoric like I was. And they said just, who told you that, Sasha? And I said, I learned it at school. And they said, okay. And there are no emotions there, not like, because as an adult now, living under that regime, you cannot explain to the child that something that is against the mainstream of the society, because you create a problem for a child who's supposed to go to the school another 8 years.
Right.
On the other side, you cannot say yes to that because this is not what you believe in. So they decided just not to respond in any way, just
acknowledge it.
This is what they tell at school. And this moment, looking back, it put a seed in my mind to question things like that. I saw that they are not on board, but they are not off board. What's going on there? And I know that from my experience and from my life, the way things so far coming up in my life, even if you teach someone to be atheistic, this framework, and most of the people around will share the same framework, somewhere inside, We're still hoping for those miracles. We still believe. Look at all the fairy tales that we teach our kids. Miracles are there. How can they go away?
Right. But then we fast forward to here you are learning QHHT
Yeah.
and had an angelic experience. What happened then?
Oh, this was level 2 in Arkansas. Of course, I already lived in the United States. I have 2 of my kids, my husband. I was very busy mom, a business owner. I had an art school, hundreds of students,
Wow.
and I really wanted to study QHHT. And level 2 then was offered only in person. So in Arkansas, and I had to leave my family and my business for about a week
Mm-hmm.
and go there. And it was a big decision. And my husband supported me in that. We calculated. So I will pick the kids from school. And my work with a substituting teacher was so much like we are 2 engineers. And we put our mind into that planning. And everything was like by the hour.
I love it. Now, what year was that? Did you do that?
2000, I think 15 or 16.
Oh, okay, so that's before I did I started in 2016 and then did level 2 in 2017 in Eureka Springs, Arkansas.
Yes, exactly there. Exactly there. Holiday Inn.
Yeah, I know it very well.
So I went there and it was beautiful experience. And we raised up the vibration so much. I remember like an illustration to what's going on there energetically. You know, those keys that we use for the doors that were already like a credit card. They look like a credit card.
Yes.
Electronic. And every day, half of the class will go to reception and ask to reprogram the key because they stopped working. That's how
I
the
do
big
not
energy in
doubt
the
it.
class was.
Well, the energy in Eureka Springs is already just off the chain because it sits on top of this massive crystal bed.
Yes, because you're working on the like quartz.
You know what's interesting is I did a metaphysical fair in Eureka Springs a couple of years ago. I brought my mom and my daughter so they could go do the tourist thing while I was working at the metaphysical fair. And my mom's feet usually swell and her ankles are usually very swollen. Her feet went like reduced the swelling so much her shoes wouldn't even stay on just from being there. And she could walk so much better. And as soon as we got back to Kansas, they swelled up again. But it's the energy, I tell you.
It's wow, there's such a physical observation what that place can do for the body.
I think so too. So, okay, sorry to interrupt, but what happened in your class?
Yeah, so imagine I'm consciously understanding that the magic exists. I
Right.
see the evidence in other people's work. I read the Dolores Cannon book. So consciously, I have a concept of that, but it's not embodied. I don't own it. It can happen to someone else. So this is how I came to that class. And I remember Diane Morrison, another level 3 practitioner, like she was there too. And she came on stage like day 3 or 4 and she said, guys, please, I'm paraphrasing, it's not exact. Please stop going to the reception with your keys. They are already tired of us. Take your key, come to the door and just say, subconscious, recalibrate. Recalibrate. And I'm listening to, really?
That
I'm
sounds
gonna
just
try.
like Diane.
Yeah, like that. I'm gonna try. And I tried, and it worked, you know?
Wow.
So this was what happened. There is a moment on level 2 when we study voice, hypnotic voice.
Right.
We work with a mentor. My mentor was Susan Spooner, amazing level 3 practitioner.
I love her.
Already, then she was teaching. You remember, imagine how much knowledge and experience she had. So she was our voice mentor. What about the voice? The voice in QHHT session is our main tool. There are other hypnotic modalities that use different induction, like rapid induction, different induction. In QHHT, we use our voice, and it's our major tool. And it needs to be in a certain level. The pace is supposed to be very specific. If you go a little faster, you bring your client up. If you go slower, they're agitated with you. It needs to be very fine-tuned. So we work with our mentor, and she gives us some how we can improve. And then we go practice with a partner. And we come back, mentor, partner, until we get it. And I was struggling with that. I don't know, was it my third language or what it was? I was really struggling, and I was coming to Susan again and again. And she is such a patient, amazing being. But I saw that I'm already getting on her nerve a little bit because it was my fourth time coming. Like everyone. So my partner, she showed up on the second day. She completely skipped the first one. She showed up on the second day, but she was so confident and such a nice energy. She sat next to me. That's why we got to be partners when the voice part came to tuition. And she saw him suffering. She said, Sasha, can I ask my angels to help you with the voice? And I'm like, well, I cannot say no because we're kind of friends and it's rude to say no. But I don't believe they actually can do something. I know that I learned art history and I know how angels are depicted and, art. And I know about angels quite, it's not that it's an unfamiliar concept, but I just don't believe they can do something really tangible.
Oh, ye of little faith.
And I'm going to say yes, just be polite. So I said yes. Thank you. Because I was desperately already, tired. Yes.
Hey, what could it hurt, right?
Yeah, what can it hurt? She probably means something good,
Right.
And the moment I say yes, something started to shift inside my body. I physically could feel it somewhere behind my cheeks, behind my nose, behind this area of the forehead. Something within started moving. No warning. I had stand there, no defense. I'm lost and confused. And it really physically something moving inside your body. I'm talking about that again and again because even an euphoric experience, a wonderful experience, and traumatic experience, it's quite similar for their intensity. And I couldn't speak. I looked at my partner with the questions in my eyes. What's going on?
Yeah, what's happening in my body?
I cannot give any logical explanation to what's going on with me. And she said, oh, they're working on you. They said they're working on you. You don't go. And as something, as a hypnotherapist, how our brain works. If something is too mystical, it doesn't find, as in the library, a place and special number and doesn't have a place in our mind to file it away.
Yes.
Sometimes we decide not to file it. I just made it up or it didn't happen. It didn't happen. That's why you see many clients, I see, probably you see too, that had a traumatic childhood and they will come to you and they will say, I don't remember much of my childhood.
Exactly, because of the trauma. Yeah.
Because of the trauma. So this was an intense experience, very intense experience. But there is so much going on level 2, another thing and other things. So I shifted my focus to something else. Of course, after that, I went to Susan Spooner. She listened to my voice. She said, this is perfect. Very good, Sasha.
Did you notice a change in how your voice sounded?
I didn't because I hear it internally, but I know that it's a hypnotic voice. It's an interesting question. I never noticed that. Wow, there is no way for me to remember. Recently, I heard my colleague and friend that went to Egypt and came back, and I heard her voice in one of the Zoom sessions. Tracy, Tracy?
Yeah, Tracy Mahan.
And I heard her voice, and I just locked in. And I know her voice for years, and it changed. And it's like talking to your soul. It's talking to something within you. And I even texted her that, Tracy, your voice is different. Your voice is bringing so much data, so much downloads. Just be present with that voice. So voice is a big deal. It's a big deal because it's a vibration. This is how we communicate.
Mm-hmm. Now, I do voice coaching for level 2s. Do you do the voice coaching as well?
Yes.
Yes, it's a rewarding experience. You when somebody steps into and discovers their hypnotic voice, like,
yes,
there you go, that's it.
Uh-huh.
Right. Yeah, it's an amazing experience.
So this was my discovery.
Wow. And then did you believe in angels?
Of course, but it still was building up. It was years after I will work with angels and they will show up in the session. And I find some of the previous episode already, like session, they show up in session. And in some of the group session, I call angels. And there are other encounters that happen after that solidified that connection. But this first one, it was just extremely intense to where I was then.
Right. And just feeling the sensations in your body. That's undeniable.
Undeniable.
Right.
Exactly.
And I love the trajectory of your story from growing up in Ukraine, where belief in angels, oh, it's primitive. Modern people don't believe in angels. That's just for the backwoods people. And then that arc that takes you to Eureka Springs, which is a very magical place, and having this direct connection with an angelic presence in your head.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's not like you were believing in angels and expected it at all.
I didn't expect that at all.
No, because sometimes we can kind of trick ourselves and it's like, yeah, I feel something in my face, right?
Yeah.
We can pull in the angelic that way, but you weren't even expecting it.
No, I didn't. And I was this person, my partner.
Mm-hmm.
The last time I saw her was the same day at the evening after the teaching ended, and we were all sitting in the lobby. She was sitting in the bar by herself. She looked very content, and I don't drink. So she invited me for this. I don't drink alcohol, but I'm grateful. This was a beautiful day, and I'm so happy. Whatever. Some nice word because it was a really beautiful experience. And I didn't see her since then. And I asked organizers, I asked about her. They said that she never signed up officially. She came just for a little bit. She is a friend of someone.
Was she even a practitioner?
No.
She wasn't even a practitioner.
No.
Of course. You can't make this stuff up. That's amazing. Love that story. Thank you so much for sharing it on the Real Life Angel Encounters podcast. Now, I would be completely remiss if we didn't mention your book, your first book. I'm so proud of you, Sasha. And what is the title?
1,000 Days to Yourself.
You hold the cover. So if you're watching YouTube, I know you do. 1,000 Days to Yourself. Now, if you're listening, Sasha and I have both been on the docuseries called Journeys into the Soul by our dear friend, mutual friend, Dave Marsh, great guy. And this series, this docuseries is available on Gaia for those who are subscribers. It's also available for pay-per-view, journeysintothesoul.com. And we each are featured in an episode.
Yes.
And your book.
Season 2.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And your season 2. Yeah. And your book comes from the session that you did in that docuseries.
Absolutely. It's a story of one person and 3 years of 3 sessions that he had through the years. And what brought him to the session, what was the outcome, and what happened in between. And to see from where he started, just from the curiosity, and to see channeling him in front of a group of people, interdimensional being, this was his expansion that he was open to. And he really, with bravery, stepped into that, starting from working in a corporate job and just having a curiosity about what else exists and how can I help people. And ending up, it's not the end. It's just a little step that we can look at. Now you're on step number 3, but there is huge trajectory above you.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, that's wonderful. Well, thank you so much for sharing that as well. And I'll put the link to your book in the show notes for this. I think that's a really wonderful thing. Everybody check it out. Thank you once again, Sasha. It's been such a pleasure. And next up, we have Stacy with an incredible story that's very personal. Hi, Stacy. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're a fellow Kansas City girl. I love that. I love my Kansas City people. And we know each other personally and socially. So that's fun. So yeah, tell us what happened.
So my husband and I, we had this friend who had got this new light machine in her business. And we were like, okay, she's in Tulsa. So we're like, okay, let's go have a little trip and just see what this light's about. So went in, had no expectations. My husband and I were laying on the table. We're receiving this Lucia light, which it was like a constant and flickering strobing light. And while we're under it, I ended up having a vision. I ended up seeing a lotus flower with the goddess figure coming out and heard a voice say, Stacy, you don't have to be so serious. You can let it go.
Whoa.
And it was, yes. And that was having the massage background. A lot of people say, oh, they're very woo and open. And it's like, no, I wasn't. I came from a physical therapy background. So I wasn't used to hearing or having visions. And so it was a huge wake up for me.
Whoa. Who do you think that was?
I have come to the realization, 3, 4 years later now, I feel like it was a version of myself because I have actually wanted to recreate and paint a picture of it. I've always really struggled with it. And I think it's because it was my higher self coming and showing me. And so it was kind of like reminding myself of, the goddess that we truly are, that divinity within, kind of a thing.
Ooh, I love that. Yeah, like your higher self. I mean, that's the bigger part of you anyway. I almost thought like Kuan Yin or something with the lotus flower, but it
It could
sounded.
be because she's one of my favorite goddesses, which actually she's on my.
Oh, she is.
Yeah. So,
I'm
so
just
could
sitting
have been.
here. I'm sitting here with Kuan Yin.
Yeah.
And when you got on the table, did you even know what the light was about?
No, I was just like, okay, it was our friend. And I was like, I'll do whatever she has. I don't care. I'm open. And so I went in with zero expectations. I was just like, okay, let's try this new light thing she has. It was just open to it.
And you were open to it. Yeah. Oh, wow. So what did you do with that after that happened?
Well, that was one of those things that it was like, okay, what is this light? And so I went back to find out more about it. And with going back, I basically, at that point, I ended up doing a couple more sessions and ended up having like a deep healing. Like I ended up having a session to where it created like a little bit of anxiety in me. And so I'd covered my eyes and told her kind of what was going on because I was like, I can't catch my breath. I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but I can't catch my breath. And so she had said at that point, oh, do you want to stop or do you want to continue? And it's like, I wanted to continue because I was looking into getting the light myself, kind of a thing.
Wow.
And so we continued. And at that point, it was like really relaxing and just very peaceful afterwards. So when we were talking about it afterwards, she said I was resisting a breakthrough.
Oh.
Yeah. And at the time I was like, hey, there was nothing consciously in my mind. There was nothing I was thinking about during the time. And even afterwards, I could not figure out what it was. It was like, it never fully ever came to me. And so it was one of those things that at that point I decided there was something to it, decided to get my light. And a couple months later, my husband and I, we went back to kind of see her again. And when we went back at that point, I was able to sit down and realize oh, I know exactly what it was. I was resisting releasing the past hurts, the past wounds I was holding on to, and fully achieving forgiveness. Because I could see after that session, I would have the same triggers in life, but it was one of those things that it's like they would just move right through me. Yeah. So it was one of those things that's like, to me, it recentered me back to the core essence of who I am. And because it's like, I wasn't supposed to be that person that was holding on to that pain, to that hurt. I wasn't supposed to be sitting there trying to drag other people down into my pain in the past and pull everybody back into that. Like it was, to me, it just centered me back to my light.
Oh, I love that. Centered me back to my light.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, because this light is very healing, isn't it?
Yeah, it truly is. It's a tool to just allow you to reconnect back to you and your higher knowledge and to open up that awareness, because ever since the light, I have then been more open to spirit and channeling. And, I think it broke through that block I had to connect,
Oh, wow. Wow. So now you conduct these sessions with the light for other people.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a question. It's called the Lucia light. What?
Mm-hmm.
So is that after Saint Lucia?
I'm not quite sure how they determined the name. It was created by a neurologist and a psychologist. And the psychologist had a near-death event when he was a child. And when he became an adult, he started studying it. And then he started mimicking it with his clients when they were under hypnosis by putting like a flashlight into their eyes to try to create that perceptual change. And then it just kind of kept expanding from there. So honestly, now that you said that, I'm like, I don't really know how they chose the name.
Isn't that interesting? Because I think luz is like Spanish maybe for light. So maybe it comes from the root word for, I don't know. It's funny because in QHHT, I'm sitting here in my office. I do QHHT in my office, quantum healing hypnosis technique. Clients' heads are at one side of the couch. On the other side of the couch, and I usually close the blinds. I've got these big sliding windows that overlook a pond, and I close the blinds though, but there is still some light source over here.
Mm-hmm.
But toward the end of sessions, clients will say, what were you doing with the lights? The lights were flashing something and it was starting to distract me a little bit. I'll say, no, I wasn't doing anything. Nothing.
Yeah.
But more than one client has said that. And so we talk about going to the light. We talk about surrounding yourself with light. We talk about there's the light, the source, the way. Light's important.
Oh, tremendously. Yeah.
It's crazy. And full disclosure, I tried the light as well. It was a bit intense for me and I couldn't like stay with it. I'd like to try it again though. I really would because I do think there's power in it. But like what happens when people have this light in their face?
Yeah. So their eyes are closed. So it's traveling through the optic nerve and it's creating the brainwave patterns of to like getting into the theta state and getting into that deeper meditation. And so by doing that, it helps you to allow you to access that higher knowledge, allow you to get the conscious mind to shush and allow that deeper wisdom to pull up and just kind of creates that connection to within.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah, that makes sense. And I love that it's developed by a neurologist and a psychologist together. I think it's important. Well,
Yeah.
fantastic. If somebody wanted to schedule an appointment with you, I mean, this is not what the point of this podcast is. It's to share experiences, but people might want to have an experience of their own. How would they find
Yeah.
us?
I am at Awakening Illumination in downtown Overland Park. So you can find me on social media through there. The website is the awakeningillumination.com. And then, yeah.
Wonderful. And you can't do this remotely, correct?
Well, I actually have been starting to do some remote sessions. So I've been doing a light and shadow journey, basically pulling 2-card pull from Tarot and doing a shadow card and a light card guided meditation with the light through online. Now, it's not as intense as it is when it's in person, but people have definitely still been able to, because even though it's white light, you'll see a kaleidoscope of color, shapes, patterns. And so people still are receiving the benefit of it. It's just, like I said, it definitely changes the intensity of it a little bit. But I think it's just kind of also that guided meditation of dropping in and, getting those messages out of the shadow, but then also the light things that we can focus on in our life.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I had an experience on a John of God bed one time. You ever heard of those?
I have, but I've not been able to experience it myself.
It's not that similar, except that there is a device over you. It has 7 Vogel crystals on it, and each one has a light behind that. And these lights are the colors of your chakras. So you lay on the table, and then the practitioner positions, because everybody comes in different sizes, right?
Yes.
The different crystals to aim toward each of the chakras. And then you typically have headphones on and listen to music, like guided, not necessarily meditations, but just like meditative music, and have this experience. The lights are shining on you. And I had an experience there where my crown just completely open, like blew open, like kick the door open. And I felt it for 3 days. It was,
oh, wow.
Yeah. So I know that light has the power. We're made of light. So
yes,
has the power to transform us,
Yeah. And the beautiful thing about the Lucia light is that it's just pure white light. So the colors that you end up seeing are coming from you and your nervous system firing up.
Wow.
And so under the light, I can do up to 6 people in a group under the light at one time.
Oh, wow.
And even though they'll be receiving the same frequency and pattern of light, everybody will see different things because it's based on what's fired up in your nervous system.
Oh.
So that to me is one of the bigger difference of the Lucia light versus some of these other lights that are out there, is that it just the purest essence of the white light, and it allows you to create the journey within.
Right. Because, of course, we think that the combination of all of the colors is black, but it's not. The combination of all colors is white.
Yeah. Yes.
Because white light contains all of the colors that we can perceive with our eyes, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, of course, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that story with us.
Yeah.
I think hearing from your higher self like that randomly and without any expectation whatsoever is powerful.
Yeah. We all just need to take that time to stop and reconnect to ourselves and to the divinity within. Just sometimes we lose our touch with it. We get busy with life and we just kind of forget that we truly are love and light at the core.
Right. Well, and this is Real Life Angel Encounters, and we are our own angels, and we can never forget. Yeah. Nice. Thank you for sharing your story, Stacy.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe and follow, and be sure to share this episode. The more people who know about this podcast, the more great story submissions we get. Have a story to share? Email your own real-life angel encounter to angelencounterspodcast@gmail.com or visit radiatewellnesscommunity.com/real-life angel encounters podcast. Or join our Facebook group and continue the discussion. Want to know what your angels and loved ones have to tell you? Schedule an appointment with me at radiatewellnesscommunity.com. A special thanks to James Wheeler for the original music and to Tiffany Baumgarten for the logo design.